Give it a few moments here. Good morning, everyone. Just let some folks trickle in and we'll get started. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're coming in from. Thank you for joining us today, the ISHOW information session. First off, welcome. My name is James Crewin. I'm a Senior Program Manager for ASME's Engineering Global Development Program. I've been with ASME for about 14 years, and since 2015, my primary focus has been advancing social entrepreneurship and social impact via the ASME ISHOW, which is a hardware-led social innovation accelerator. So I'm really honored to be here with all of you today, and I appreciate your time. I'm going to talk a little bit today about the ISHOW, the nuts and bolts of it, why we think it's important, and of course, how you can get involved with the ISHOW. But first, just some quick housekeeping on Zoom. If you have any general comments for the group at large, please use the chat feature. If you have specific questions about the presentation or ISHOW, please click on the Q&A icon on the menu bar at the bottom of your Zoom window. And I have colleagues that will be aggregating the questions for the Q&A after this presentation, but perhaps we can do a quick practice run on the chat feature itself by letting us know where you're coming from. I'll start us off. Virginia, USA for me. Brooklyn, New York. All right, great. Malawi's here. Puerto Rico. Thank you, Puerto Rico, for joining. Mineola, New York. Awesome. Thanks for joining, everyone. Florida is in the house as well. But as mentioned, ISHOW is an accelerator of hardware-led social innovation, and we define hardware-led social innovation as taking a physical product to market that provides a solution to a social and/or environmental problem using a sustainable business model. This is much easier said than done, of course, as it requires training and guidance across technical, business, and social dimensions. ISHOW measures the impact of the social ventures and its own program through many mechanisms and key indicators. And one of those impact metrics that we use is alignment to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as you see. And while the policymakers, the lawyers, and the government certainly play a very large role in addressing the UN SDGs, as you see here, they can't do it alone. It will also be the engineers, the designers, the social entrepreneurs, incubators, accelerators, and impact investors that can really make a difference as well. So the rise of the social entrepreneur over the last decade and in the decade ahead really presents a tremendous opportunity for innovators and stakeholders within the hardware innovation ecosystem to advance social impact and address the SDGs, and we believe ISHOW can be an avenue for many on that journey. So based on our decade of learnings, research, and observations, there are things that we know for certain. First, engineers are critically important contributors to the economy, and many countries simply do not have enough of them. Second, social entrepreneurship is also vital to the economy and trending upwards. According to the Financial Times, for instance, 3.2% of the world's population is starting a social venture, and many of them are delivering hardware-based solutions. And that same research indicates the majority of these social entrepreneurs are young. So the demographics are certainly indicating promise and turning the tide over the next decade in addressing the SDGs with the help of the current and next generation innovators. And lastly, engineering support is really needed to deliver technologies to underserved communities that need it the most. So there is a very clear need for a prepared and trained pipeline of technical talent now and in the foreseeable future, and that's where ASME comes in. So why ASME? Why is ISHOW an important pillar in ASME's overall impact strategy? Well, first, ISHOW directly supports ASME's mission in advancing engineering for the benefit of humanity. ISHOW finalists over the years have really done a wonderful job of supporting and exemplifying ASME's mission. They're brilliant, they're innovative, and they're using their technical skills to make the world a better place for a lot of people. Second, we have the talent. We have 100,000 members worldwide that we can call upon and activate to get involved and provide their guidance and expertise to the social enterprises that we support. And third, we bring a thought leadership to the hardware-led social innovation ecosystem. Frankly, we've been doing this for quite a while now. In 2015, ISHOW went global to tap into the growing and talented innovation hubs in India, Kenya, and the United States. And in 2022, as we start our 8th year with ISHOW, we've seen the trends and we've learned quite a bit over that stretch. But ISHOW was built specifically for our hardware ventures' unique needs, and we stand essentially at the intersection of engineering and technical due diligence, social and environmental impact, and hardware ventures. We provide our networks, our tools, and our resources to get these ventures to their next stage of development as quickly as possible. We are living in an era of brightly colored apps, and for the most part, that these apps are easily coded, easily scaled, and flushed with investment capital because of the idea that there's a very quick ROI, but that's not necessarily the case for the hardware entrepreneurs. The hardware journey, as we call it, is not easy. And just to provide a bit more context on the role that ISHOW plays and can play, a report published by CB Insights, which is essentially a newsletter on market intelligence and technology trends, stated that 97% of consumer hardware companies are likely to die or become zombie companies after their first round of seed funding. So hardware has a historically high failure rate, and there are very obvious gaps in the support systems that they need. So based on 7 years of ISHOW cycles, feedback, data collection, and observations over the years, we have found that early stage hardware startups need design and engineering support as much as they need capital and business guidance. Our ventures primarily need, of course, the engineering and design support, prototyping guidance and testing strategies, and manufacturing and supply chain strategies as well. From the graph on the right, you see the majority of the ISHOW finalists that have come through our pipeline in orange fall within the prototyping stages. We're talking low fidelity prototypes, lab tested, field tested, to pre-production prototypes. And these stages are also known as the Valley of Death, which is exactly why ISHOW is so important, because that's exactly when most of our finalists meet with ISHOW's expert network. So they're at a very critical juncture in their development when they enter the ISHOW. So hardware is incredibly hard, and the design and engineering support and guidance ISHOW finalists receive is often more valuable than capital. From the bill of materials analysis, refinement of design for manufacturing specs, for quality control and establishment of sourcing, manufacturing, and distribution channels, ISHOW guidance can truly be catalytic. It can reduce the risk for many of these ventures, save them money, and give them a plan of action vetted by industry experts. But ISHOW essentially revolves around what we call our design and engineering review framework, which focuses on customer user knowledge, hardware validation and prototyping, manufacturing optimization, and implementation strategy. Our experts that we recruit help these entrepreneurs and innovators navigate not only the challenges they're currently facing in each one of these areas, but the challenges that they can expect to face further down their timeline as well, so they can prepare, anticipate, and pivot as appropriate. So even teams that don't win or get invited to ISHOW Bootcamp still have that priceless face time with our experts, and they leave ISHOW with recommendations and a long list of action items from industry experts. But the DER framework was co-designed with our experts over the years. It's been tested and validated over the last 7 years, and it really considers all elements needed to succeed, not just focusing on hardware. It builds a venture's capacity and gives our experts a chance to perform some strategic and technical due diligence in vetting each venture on our behalf to minimize ASME's risk in investing as well. Each year we hold regional iShows in India, Kenya, and the United States. We invite 8 teams in each location for 24 total finalists, and 3 from each location are invited to join our annual iShow cohort. And each of those companies receives a $10,000 seed grant 20 hours of design services, promotion, and expert and peer networking. They also get a very much coveted invitation to the iShow Bootcamp, and at Bootcamp, each company receives a tailored design and engineering review with curated experts that we've recruited specifically to address their current and anticipated challenges. They also have access to workshops, trainings, and peer learning opportunities, such as the iShow Sustainable Design Practices Workshop. They receive business development assets to aid them on the fundraising front. And they also get a chance to earn a second round of investment based on progress and their needs moving forward as well. But in 7 years, we've had over 1,000 applicants, and we're proud of the fact that training and capacity building starts right off the bat with iShow, with the application process, which we'll discuss in a minute. We've had over 184 finalists from 31 countries, and we've doled out nearly $1 million in grants and technical services since 2015. If you want to learn more about iShow's impact, feel free to visit the ASME Foundation impact data for iShow at the link that you see there. We also have stellar advisors with our iShow steering committee. Their responsibilities include setting strategies to inform our path forward on scaling iShow, identifying key partners that can source experts and entrepreneurs, refining our monitoring and evaluation strategy, and defining and refining our KPIs. iShow advisors sign on for a one-year term. So if you might be interested in getting involved with iShow at a strategic level on the steering committee, or if you want to join our stellar roster of judges and experts, please visit our Engineering Global Development page on asme.org and submit an interest form to get involved. And thank you, Jonathan, for dropping those links. And we'll also have these links at the end of the presentation for your reference as well. We're also always on the lookout for like-minded organizations to get involved and partner or sponsor iShow. We really take a interdisciplinary and integrated approach, recognizing that the innovation process is not linear, and that engineers and entrepreneurs need consistent support and guidance throughout from experts who understand the entire process from idea to market-ready products. And we believe that engineers and innovators of the future will really need to have that interdisciplinary knowledge and an entrepreneurial spirit. And we really couldn't ask for a better group of partners who are helping us to build that capacity. A special thanks to the Lemelson Foundation, the ASME Foundation, and Engineering for Change for the pivotal roles that they've played and will continue to play in iShow's success. We also want to thank our partners for providing iShow finalists and cohorts additional benefits and guidance on their hardware journey, even after their iShow engagement as well. So now that we've gone through the nuts and bolts of iShow and why it's important and the value it brings to social enterprises and experts alike, I wanted to talk a little bit about how to apply. First, go to the iShow website at thisishardware.org or www.asmeishow.org and sign up at the top right. It's free. We just need a valid email, and then you can hit the big apply now button, which is pretty much everywhere on the website. You can't miss it. Here you'll have a choice between which iShow to apply to. We ask that you select the location that's closest to your main operations or headquarters. And you'll see instructions at the top right when you click on that apply button that'll kind of walk you through it. But what you're going to see is you're going to have to navigate through these 5 buckets of the application. And these 4 of these buckets essentially walk you through the design and engineering review framework that we just discussed. So we have the basics, customer user knowledge, hardware validation, manufacturing optimization, implementation strategy. And once you fill out every field, you can hit you can go down to the blue button at the bottom underneath each bucket to save your entries. And then you can click on the next button. You go to customer user knowledge to click next to save, and so on and so forth. When you hit implementation strategy at the end, you'll see a blue submit button, and that you can submit your full application for review. And once you submit, you'll receive a confirmation email and you'll be good to go. There really are no right or wrong answers with the survey or with the application. We just essentially want to get a sense of what stage of development you're at, the challenges that you're currently facing, which will help inform the conversations with judges and the guidance that they'll be giving you as a finalist, and to determine the potential for positive social impact. And you might not be able to answer every question, and that's okay. We don't expect expect you to be able to answer every question. Knowing every aspect of technology development and scaling to market is really hard to do, but even the questions you can't answer on the application will put in an important consideration on your radar for when the time is right. And we look at that application essentially as a training opportunity for all applicants, whether they're selected as an ISHOW finalist or not. The application can take up to an hour to complete, so it walks you through the entire ISHOW process. It's going to make you critically think about each component of the DER. It's probably going to put a lot of things on your radar that might not have been there to begin with. But applications close March 15. April 15th, we'll be announcing the India finalists. April 26th to 28th, we'll have ISHOW India. May 24th, Kenya finalists will be announced. ISHOW Kenya is June 7th through 9th. Early July is the announcement for USA finalists, and ISHOW USA will be held July 19th to the 21st. And of course, our annual December early winter, midwinter tradition, the ISHOW Bootcamp for our 2022 cohort. So that's just a brief snapshot of the timeline coming up. So we certainly hope that you'll apply and help us get the word out to innovators and experts within your network. The ISHOW has been fairly well received and well rated since its inception. For 2021, we had a net promoter score of 83 from experts and finalists alike. So if you're not familiar with the net NPS, anything over 50 is considered exceptional. We've had approximately 80 judges who have returned for repeat engagements with ISHOW. They're committed and dedicated to the impact that ISHOW finalists make each and every year. They root for each startup every step of the way, and they continue conversations with ISHOW Ventures even after their ISHOW engagement. And that's one of the unique value propositions for innovators. You know, we have a tested and validated methodology. We have the strategic and technical due diligence that prepares innovators for the journey and increases their likelihood of success. We have a committed and dedicated network of experts that are rooting for every company and guiding them every step of the way. And our focus is on supporting game-changing, disruptive hardware innovations, which helps close a significant gap in the innovation ecosystem at large. So we're incredibly proud of the impact that ISHOW is making. We're proud of the value and quality of the ISHOW offering, and we certainly intend to continue these trends in 2022 and beyond. One last thing I'd like to get on your radar before we hop into the Q&A is the scaling of ISHOW through our recently launched IdeaLab program. IdeaLab acts as an incubator that will source future finalists to the ISHOW accelerator and covers the pre-production or pre-prototype stages. So it aims to provide support to aspiring entrepreneurs with a disruptive idea that may not have the know-how, the space, the tools, the funding, or the resources needed to build that first iteration prototype, and guide them from concept to market. And selected candidates will have access to training modules and tutorials in human-centered design, sustainable design practices, measuring and demonstrating impact to attract sophisticated funders and investors. And seed grants that we'll be providing will be linked to progress. They'll also have access to targeted mentorship to build out their prototype strategy. They'll have access to software, lab space, tooling, and CAD modeling software. So we welcome all comers, from the eager engineers to the hobbyists, to the tinkerers, and to the problem solvers. If you have an idea, but might not be sure of your next steps, then IdeaLab could be a very great opportunity for you. And I encourage you to visit the IdeaLab page on the iShow website. So we're looking for future innovators, mentors, and partners that can help us provide these key resources to these aspiring entrepreneurs. But please stay tuned on that front as we aim to launch the IdeaLab applications in April of this year. And with that, if you want to get involved, please apply to iShow at www.asmeishow.org. We have apply buttons everywhere. Experts and advisors, if you know of any, please help us spread the word to them, and they can submit an interest form at the asme.org global programs page. But in any more questions or any requests for further information, you can always email iShow at info@thisishardware.org. With that, I'll pause for any questions. Well, I think for starters, and perhaps yeah, and any team from any country can apply. Again, we just ask that you select the iShow location, either India, Kenya, or the United States, based on which is closest to your headquarters or your main headquarters, main area, where you're operating. We've had quite a few countries over the years. We've had many European countries come to iShow USA, many South American countries come to iShow USA. The whole African continent has been coming to iShow Kenya over the years. We get a lot of applicants from Nigeria, from Ghana. Ghana has been sourcing many iShow winners over the last few years. So yeah, we welcome all innovation, all innovators from any country to apply. And with iShow being virtual this year, it just makes it that much easier for folks to apply and get involved and get that much needed guidance. So yeah, we welcome everyone. Any other questions? And while folks may be thinking about questions, just wanted to kind of briefly discuss the criteria in selection when we review the applications. While the applications can take up to an hour, it can take a little while to review them as well. But for starters, when we're reviewing the applications, and a big shout out to the E4C research fellows who have been integral in not only the iShow process at large, but specifically the application review. So we really appreciate the E4C fellows and their dedication to iShow over the years. But in reviewing the applications, we do look at a few things. Is it viable? Is there a hardware component? We do get sometimes the sketch on a cocktail napkin in an iShow application. So we want to ensure that they have a working prototype. Some may only have that idea or that concept, again, on a cocktail napkin. And that's actually a big reason why we started IdeaLab, because we were getting the early stages of the tech development milestones with the ideas and concepts. So we want to make sure that we kind of covered that full spectrum of the tech development milestones with IdeaLab. But back to iShow, we do want to ensure that their solution is addressing a significant problem. and as some startups or companies are much more mature than others, but as long as they have that functioning prototype, we don't penalize for earlier stage startups, nor do we penalize the applicants on the verge of conquering markets the world over who may be in the manufacturing phase. We're looking for impact and opportunities for ASME to move their needle and make that impact. And we certainly welcome student teams to apply as well. We have received many application submissions on senior design projects. We just want to ensure that they have intentions of creating a company around their undergraduate work and capstone projects. So we welcome all comers on that front. Yeah, just a quick question on the, I'm presuming you can still see my screen here. So here's the iShow USA application. Again, you're going to be going through these 5 buckets here, going through the basics. If you can't answer every question, that's fine. Just put a not applicable or NA or something to that effect, because each field is required to be filled out, even if you don't have the answer. So just put a not applicable or anything like that. But once you get to the bottom, you would hit next, and it would save your entries. And of course, it's not saving my entries right now because I haven't actually filled this one out. But once you hit the next button down here, it'll save your entries, and then you can move on to the bucket 2, customer user knowledge. Again, save your entries by hitting the next button at the bottom. So on and so forth for buckets 3 and 4. And once you get to bucket 5 with implementation strategy, you'll see the big blue submit button at the bottom. If you're having any technical glitches with your application, you see this user snap app that we've included, or tool that we've included on the website. You can just shoot us an email letting us know, and you'll be contacted by the iShow team to help walk you through any technical difficulties that you may be having with the application. Yes, if your team is not a company yet, the question is, if my team is not a company yet, can we still apply? Yes, absolutely. If your intention is to start a company behind your innovation, we do ask simply that you have that first, at minimum, a first iteration prototype, a lo-fi prototype at minimum. Another question coming in: we are a startup who raises seed round. Can we still apply for iShow? Yes. If you have a functioning prototype, all innovators with that first iteration prototype. And let me just get back to the tech development milestones here. But IdeaLab will be, or iShow, to the left of the blue highlight, you see the low fidelity prototype. Any innovation at any of these stages is eligible to apply for iShow. For the future innovators and aspiring entrepreneurs that don't yet have that prototype, that's what IdeaLab is for. The IdeaLab application process will be very similar. We want to get a basic understanding of your knowledge in your training. Are you an engineer? There are folks that may not have that academic and engineering training that apply for IdeaLab, and that's fine. We just want to get a sense of where you are stage of development, idea, concept development, or demonstrated concept. We want to get an understanding of your technical capabilities for IdeaLab. So we can kind of craft the tutorials and craft a tailored journey for your IdeaLab engagement. IdeaLab, again, acts as an incubator, and the length of that incubation could be, depending on your stage of development and your technical capabilities, can be anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, with 2 years at the absolute max. But the idea with IdeaLab is that once you get through that incubation from 6 to 18 months, you'll eventually be flowing into the ISHOW accelerator as well. Another question rolling in: if a team is eligible, is a team eligible to apply if they are currently working on a prototype? Yes. If you are working on a prototype and you expect it to be finalized this year, we certainly encourage you to apply. No other questions? All right, folks, if other questions do pop in your head, hang on. If other questions do pop in your head at a later time, please feel free to reach out to us at info@thishishardware.org. We look forward to welcoming the 2022 cohort, the impact that past ISHOW finalists have made over the years has been wonderful. The Sciatex, the multi-crop threshers of ISHOW Kenya, the SESI technologies, and the grain-made, the bioscan research, Cerebro innovations of past cohorts are really starting to gain some market traction. And we're proud to call them ISHOW alumni. So we are looking forward to welcoming the 2022 cohort and providing that guidance for them as well. But with that, I think we can probably close this one up, and feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions, but we look forward to seeing your applications. Thanks, everyone.